Hey Cougs, welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to have Andy, the master behind Flatstick Pub, joined with me. I've been to many a location. I've had a beer there. I used to run a group and we used to meet there, so I'm very familiar with his company and I'm just excited to bring his wisdom and energy to this episode. Andy, thank you so much for coming on to Cougs First.
Hey, Kelsey, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here and chat Cougs First and Flatstick and all those good things. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. I think we have to start with you. In your origin story, how did you end up in Pullman? I know it's a little bit of a family affair too, so bring everyone up to speed if they haven't had the pleasure of meeting you before, and then we're gonna dive into flat stick stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in Spokane, family full of Cougs. Was a Coug fan since I can remember. Um, and had the opportunity to go down and play football for WCU, which was a blast. I was there for a couple of years and um, ultimately decided uh, to go to another school to finish up, but I understood my athletic capabilities weren't quite there for WCU, but had a blast the 2 years that I was there. Enjoyed it, met a lot of amazing people, and since have obviously stayed a huge Coug fan. Wanted to get involved or stay involved with the Coug community, and obviously Flatstick opening that has allowed us to do that through organizations like Cougs First, which has been super exciting and fun to be a part of still.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those that don't know, I mean, what's your elevator pitch of flat stick? How do you describe what you do to a stranger on the street?
Yeah, so basically it's a pub with mini golf and other games and lots of great local beer. It's a place to gather and just have fun, be yourself. But yeah, we mini golf, games, craft beer, pizza, all the good stuff. It's exciting. So we're going on 10 years now. We just celebrated 10-year anniversary from our first location in Kirkland, and now we have 6 locations around the state of Washington, and yeah, still going strong.
Yeah, it's a really cool, unique experience if you haven't gone. Like I said, I've been a consumer. I haven't visited all the locations, but quite a few, and I just think it's really I'm all about quality time and I love having something to do versus just like, stand around and drink and talk. It's cool that there's just so many activities and you guys are constantly doing all kinds of events and stuff too, and especially kook stuff too. If you're ever looking for a place to watch a game, definitely recommend stopping by.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of a big part of it is having something to do. That's kind of where we came up with the mini golf aspect of it. And we didn't want to just open a place that you just kind of sit down and watch whatever's showing on the TV or whatnot. We wanted people to have fun and let loose and be themselves. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good time.
That's so cool. I've always wanted to know how did it come to be? Like what was the initial thought, name, all of this stuff? What's the origin story of it?
Yeah, so I got to give the credit to my brother Sam, Coug alum. I think graduated in 1997. But he kind of came up with the idea. He's been a craft beer fan since the 90s. Um, he was over in Seattle working as an accountant for several years. Um, but kind of came up with this idea of only he wanted to open a place that only served local Washington craft beer, but also like that idea of having something to do. And a few other places, back then kind of were tinkering with the idea of games and whatnot, and mini golf popped up and thought the two would go hand in hand. It's mini golf and beer, so tough to go wrong there. But yeah, he kind of had that idea. I think he asked basically every single person he knew if they'd be interested in helping him out, and everybody thought he was crazy. But thankfully, I was in a good or a place in my life that I didn't mind. I was in Spokane. I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I got nothing holding me down here. So I came over and moved to Seattle. And 6 months later, we opened up Flatstick Kirkland. And everybody, I think, told us we were crazy. We are going to last maybe 6 months. But after a couple of weeks, we saw the excitement that people are having. Coming in, playing games, and not to mention, not to say it wasn't a not necessarily a struggle, but wasn't easy to start. Sam and I were there probably every single day for the first year, bartending and taking care of things. But we could see, it kind of grew, and it grew pretty fast. And most importantly, people are having a really good time. It was, something most people had never seen before. And just the idea of combining, having a place where you could go have drinks and bring family and have food, and but also play games was seemed to be a hit with people. So yeah, I guess here we are now 10 years later, and like I said, still going at it, still having fun.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And how did the name come to be?
It was probably several beers and several rounds of mini golf, and it's nothing too fancy. Sam and I just kind of throwing names up against the wall, and obviously golf terms were coming up, and flat stick, which is another kind of slang term for a putter in golf, was one that kind of stuck and unique. And it's feel like it's been a good name for us, and fitting with the mini golf. So yeah.
I think it's great. I think that's really cool to hear. And I'm curious how you grew it. I mean, going from one location to multiple, they all kind of have their own personality. Like, what were some of the struggles that were existing in the business then, and how'd you overcome them?
Yeah. I think, like I said, well, it took a minute to get off the ground, but then once we did, we saw people were excited. Really, it kind of goes back to the first location. Is we couldn't even get a lease. No one wanted to take the chance on us to have this, mini golf and beer. No one heard of that. And the second location, after about 6 months, we're like, okay, this could be something cool, but we needed more space. As the Kirkland location is very small. I knew we wanted to do something in Seattle, and we were able to show, hey, this is something successful. So we found the Pioneer Square spot, and that that grew and was pretty successful. And then people were kind of reaching out to us and say, hey, what you guys cool? Like, would you guys want to come work with us at this building, or that sort of thing? And it's not like we didn't have struggles. I mean, just running a pub and a restaurant is a struggle in itself. But we felt good about what we were doing, and the culture we were building, I think, is probably the biggest thing. I think something that we've strive for from the beginning was building a culture of, with amongst our staff and just the Flatstick community, of a place where people can have fun, and let loose. And so I think, having building that from the beginning and having the staff behind that, allowed us to continue to grow. And that's, I would say one of the biggest things that, we continue to put our resources behind, is building that staff culture and the culture and Flatstick of one community, and making sure that is continued forward as we move on.
Yeah. Is that something? I mean, why did that become such a priority for the business? Is that something either of you had experienced before, or did you experience the opposite? How did you know that people was the answer?
Uh, I don't know if it's, something I've necessarily experienced, but it's just, I feel like kind of the people that we try to be is just,
Mhm.
between myself and Sam, and how we were raised, and just try to be, community oriented, be supportive, and just provide a fun experience. I think at the end of the day, we wanted to have fun with this, and we wanted to make this something enjoyable, and we want to work with people that are having fun. It's not fun to go to work and not enjoy the people that you work with or enjoy what you're doing. So and obviously there's a lot of research out there that shows the benefits of creating a positive experience in the workplace, and how valuable that can be. And I can, you know it's one thing to read it in books and listen to podcasts about it, but it's another thing to really see that in action. And I think, it's something that I've truly believe in, and something I've seen the benefits of. And same time, as we continue to grow, it's probably the biggest challenge that we face is, myself or Sam, or the people that have been there, from the beginning. We're not there every single day with the staff to kind of talk to people about culture and make sure that that's getting represented what we're doing. So how do we continue to grow that culture is something that continues to be a big task that we work through every day. So
For sure. This is kind of like a backwards question because I should have asked it earlier, but I can't not ask it because I've also wondered when you first started and people didn't really know what Flatstick was, or let alone just the concept was, it was so new. How did you get people in the door? Like, how did you communicate that to people? What were people coming in for? Was it the beer thing? What was like your marketing strategy? I think that that's a valuable lesson in and of itself.
yeah, I think, obviously, you know, it's a unique thing. So you put it on social media, people see, whoa, mini golf in a bar, that's something important. But really, it relates to Cougs First and getting out in the community, going to trade shows, going to beer festivals, being involved, as much as possible. I talk about all the days, how many beer festivals or Cougs First shows or just shows in general that I, hauled a golf hole to and posted up there for a full day. And, and it was fun to get the word out that way. It was a lot of work, but it was, I think making those connections in person went a long ways. And then, you know, at the end of the day, getting people in the door was one thing, and then making sure people came back. And, that comes with making sure we're treating them right, having a good time, giving them reasons to come back. But yeah, I mean, even to this day, there's not a lot of, paid advertising we do. It's word of mouth, and it's creating connections, like we've done through Cougs First. I feel like that's a big part of building that community.
I hope people listen to that last bit because that's not a sexy answer, but it's the truth. And just those relationships go so far. And I mean, as someone who's been in and out of Cougs First in so many different capacities, it's so important to have those relationships. And when you have a community like Cougs, the first step is done. We have that common bond. We have something we can talk about. And it's like, okay, how do you take that relationship deeper in a way where it can be a win-win and just keep you top of mind? And I think that you specifically, but Flatstick as a whole has done a great job with that too. So
Yeah,
I can't
absolutely.
wait till some location down south opens up because I'm in Bonnie Lake and love you. Your business is great, but I need something down here, and I'm hoping that day comes.
We're working on it. We're working on the Tacoma spot.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. I
it's
love to hear it.
coming.
But yeah, I think that there's some things that have worked. Obviously, business isn't linear or perfect, but I would also love to hear how your responsibilities have changed over the years. What was like a normal day in the life in year one, two, three versus today, and how has that shifted?
Yeah, obviously it's changed a lot. Like I mentioned, I think earlier is, day one, we were behind the bar bartending every single day, and, obviously doing some other managerial tasks and whatnot. But really the kind of first year was be there, be on site, bartend, just make sure, connect with the customers. And, as we grew to a second location, and third location, it was more kind of a managerial thing, but, still being around, as involved as much as possible with the events and whatnot. Um, and then, in the last few years, Sam who was, the CEO has kind of taken a step away, as far as the day-to-day business. So I've kind of stepped into that role. So again, I think at the heart, I love the operation side of things. I love working with the staff and trying to, make sure that they have all the tools that they need and resources, and just being a source of knowledge for them, and still, being involved in events. But also, obviously I got to look over the bigger part of the business and, growth plans, or, just making sure that we're still successful and seeing how we can manage, obviously business has changed a lot over the last 10 years, and we're dealing with different, issues of rising costs, or, all that stuff. So being a little bit more, in charge, obviously, of overseeing that. And which not always is the most fun. I wish sometimes I could just go focus on the pubs and the people, and, trying to make them, operate as most effectively and efficiently. But and at the end of the day, that's still the most important part of my job, is just making sure that the staff every single staff member feels like, they're supported and able to do their job. And um, so still, the focus is that, but there's also kind of the bigger picture of what we're doing and the direction that we're going as Flatstick continues on this path. So
Totally. How do you how do you maintain that initial culture you built with the first location at all of the other ones? Especially, I mean, you guys have one in Bellingham, correct?
yeah.
And Bellingham, I think Bellingham and Kirkland couldn't be more different, but you guys make it work. So how do you protect what is Flatstick, but also allow it to fit into that new community?
Yeah, I mean it's tough and it's nothing that we've perfected by any means. We've learned a lot and have struggled with it. But I think part of what makes Flatstick is that I think we try to allow people to be themselves, and kind of give people that trust and the support to make decisions. And I think at the end of the day, if staff feel that way and if they feel supported and trusted and um, they have the tools to succeed, that's going to allow them to perform their jobs well and continue that flat stick culture. And obviously, we have a lot of people that have been around a long time and trying to instill that culture of just having fun and not taking ourselves too seriously. And at the end of the day, we want to make it a fun environment for customers to come in and enjoy themselves. So um, it starts with the people. We have really good people in place and managerial positions down to, this people, helping you behind the bar, cooking the food. Like it's just, as long as we continue to support them, that's the goal. And hopefully they feel that and want to do the best that they can possibly do and helping others.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just being so nosy. Like I've been dying to ask you these
Right.
questions, Andy. Who picks the beer? Do you get the luxury of being that guy or does someone else have that job?
It's kind of up to each location for the most part. The general manager's in charge of picking the beers, ordering the beers.
Oh man, I wanted that to be one of your
I
responsibilities.
know it'd be a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big job. We rotate the taps every time, so they're having to come up with new beers. They're probably ordering 15, 20 different beers every single week. So I would love to do it, but it's probably just don't have the
Yeah.
capability to do it, and the GMs are in the best position to make those decisions. Obviously, if there's something that specifically, that looks good or wants, I might give my 2 cents or, I have some favorites out there that, you might see on tap more often than others. So I still have a little bit of a sway in it, but yeah, that's that's more on a general manager location basis, and it's fun because even staff will go out and try new beers at the breweries. And we really encourage this, to staff to go try local breweries and get out there. Then they give their feedback to the GMs like, hey, you got to bring this beer in. Like it was so good. I had it the other day. Like, so, GMs are putting in the orders, but we try to make it a team thing as well.
Yeah, that's cool. And I mean, I think the local beer scene has just blown up in the last decade. So now you have so many options to choose from. And it's awesome that you guys can kind of highlight some of those as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really fun part of what we do, I think. And again, it's a whole new community, the craft beer community and the local breweries. It's fun to be a part of.
Yeah, that's way cool. And then another nosy question I've had, because you also do a lot of interesting events and contests, you have trivia and I think you do putt putting contests and stuff. So how do you decide what activities are aligned with the culture and also give free reign to your, like what's that balance between these ideas are crazy but they make sense and these ideas are crazy and we're not doing it?
Yeah, I mean it's again, there's not a science to it. We're just trying to keep things fresh, trying to
Yeah.
do new things. There's been a lot of events that afterwards is like, yeah, let's not do that again. That did not work out or whatnot. But it just goes back to having fun.
Yeah.
Obviously we have, the weekly events like trivia and bingo and whatnot, which are fun and build a following. But the one-off events, we just had, our 10-year anniversary, and part of that was we did, an Olympics contest of, bunch of different games around mini golf or, giant Jenga or whatnot. Everybody got people who won got a gold medal, and they get half off drinks for the rest of the year type thing and whatnot. So it's just, again, goes back to having fun, trying to be creative. It's not, no science to it. A lot of it's probably you have a couple beers. It's like, oh, I got this great idea. Let's try this out. So I wish it was a little bit more precise, but yeah, we just like to try to keep things fresh and have fun with things.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and it seems to be working well. So we're gonna do rapid fire, but I just have one more kind of business related question, which is if you were to give advice to someone listening to this, whether they're just getting started in theirs or just I don't know, maybe they're struggling with culture, what advice would you give to that person?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've listened to a lot of these podcasts and a lot of people, will mention get involved with obviously organizations like Cougs First. And I think I alluded to that, and how important that's been. And Cougs First specifically, I think we started, being an actual, have a booth, I think the second show or whatnot. And those connections we've made, just getting to know people, whether it's customers coming in and saying, "Oh, I've never heard of you guys. I'll come check you out," or just the other businesses. I think we merchandise. We get our insurance through Cougs First. I've done marketing stuff, videos. There's so many connections, and having that Coug connection is a way to kind of open the door to a lot of new people, new areas that you might have not have the expertise in. So obviously getting out there, getting involved in the community. And I guess two, I think just not being afraid to ask questions, not being afraid to take chances. I think that's one thing that I've noticed or kind of been a shock to me is that there's a lot of people that, even, people that have been in it for a long time, but we're still just trying, no one knows really what we're doing. Like we're figuring it out as we go. And I think there's an intimidation factor that, I've experienced like, oh, I'm not going to ask that question. It's probably a stupid question. Then, it gets asked and it's like, yeah, we're not sure, but we're going to figure it out. And I think that's kind of been my mantra is, I might not know it, but I'm going to try to figure it out and I'm going to learn and continue to learn. But I think there's also trying to avoid that hesitancy of I'm not going to do it just because I don't know it, and try to be more of let's just go for it and let's try it and we'll figure it out and we could ask for help and there's a lot of people out there willing to help, which has been awesome, whether it's through Cougs First or other organizations or whatnot. So don't be afraid to take the chance, ask the question, and just continue to work hard.
Yeah, totally. Great answers. I told you that I wrote some special rapid fire questions for you. So there's five of them. Are you
All right.
ready?
Yes, let's do
Okay,
it.
that first question is canned beer or draft beer?
Draft beer for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second one is where's the best flat stick to putt putt at?
That it's a hotly debated topic. It's a question that gets asked a lot. I think my personal favorite is the Pioneer Square location. That I think that mini golf course is great and it's challenging. But they're all good. I take a lot of pride in the Redmond course because I feel like I designed a lot of those holes. So there's some sense of pride in that one. But I got to go to Pioneer Square if I can only play one the rest of my life, I'll do Pioneer Square.
Yeah. Yeah. Great answer. Which Coug alumni would you want to take a selfie with?
Oh, great question. Man, probably Keith Jackson. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Awesome. And which football game are you most looking forward to this year, whether you're going or just watching in general?
Uh, let's see. Probably Apple Cup's gonna be a lot of fun. Obviously, it's Apple Cup. And I know it'd be nice to have it in Pullman, but selfishly having it in Seattle, right down in Pioneer Square is gonna be a lot of fun. So hopefully, we got some cool events lined up to do that and try to just make that area, Coug Central is gonna be a lot of fun. And, it's gonna be great when we pull out the W and get to celebrate in Seattle. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And then if you were not in charge of Flatstick and you could just launch any other business today, what would it be?
Let's see. I think honestly, my dream, it's kind of Flatstick related, but I'm a big golfer, so I'd love to have my own golf course to, and make it less stuffy and more fun,
Yeah.
kind of like a flat stick, but a big actual flat stick on an actual golf course. I think that would be the dream.
I like the name actual plastic.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
think you need to lock that one down. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Hey, as someone who went for the first time in 4 years yesterday, I'm behind this idea. I think it's needed, very much so.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Andy, thank you so much for coming on. It was awesome talking to you. I just so appreciate your time and your knowledge today. It was super fun too.
Yeah, no, thank you, Kelsey, and thanks Cougs First for all that you guys do.
Yeah, and I just want people to come support the business. You guys have so many fun things happening. Again, if you're looking for somewhere to watch a game, definitely check out one of the locations. Where do you feel like the best place to direct people so they can find all the info? Where should we send them?
Yeah, probably social media. It has the most up to date information. Obviously, the website as well. But follow us on social, and you'll see a lot of stuff about Coug watch parties and all that stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks again and go Cougs.
Thank you. Go Cougs.